a long short equity hedge fund, doing the same thing. I had a couple of guys working under me. I was like, still in an analyst role, not a trader. A couple of years into that, I got hired away.
Just curious. So as an analyst there, like what did you do? Like, how did you advise the traders, or what did the traders look to you for kinds of information and kinds of analysis?
As an analyst, I guess whether it's event driven or fundamental or whatever, you're just constantly digging and digging and digging and talking to as many people as you can for ideas and looking at the calendar and, hey, your buddy's long XYZ. Well, why are they long? Okay, that's kind of interesting. So you're like an idea factory is really what you are. You're really trying to come up with ideas, and then you bring them to your portfolio manager, your trader, whether it's a small firm or a large firm, and then they sort of run it through the gamut. Okay, that's interesting. Why? What's the setup? What's the timing? What are the events on the calendar? So that's pretty much what we would do. And, it was long and short, but we stayed primarily in equity land. We did some fixed income and, capital structure arbitrage, but typically it was just a directional equity bet. Just to circle back here. So I did that for a few years. Then I was hired away to one of the biggest Canadian banks, to help run their event-driven and merger arb prop book, and did that for a few years. And now we're in '08.
Just before the crash. That's great timing.
Yeah.
So just to be clear, so when you went to the Canadian firm, are you now transitioning from an analyst role into trading, or were you doing the same?
No, so I was doing the same, but I was, at some elevated role or whatever. So I wasn't quite co-portfolio manager, but I was kind of the right-hand man to a guy that had done merger arb for a very, very long time. And this is probably about '05, '06. So we had, a really good run. We had a good run for about 2 to 3 years until '08 came. And then obviously '08 blew everybody up. It's a really funny story in hindsight. At the time, it wasn't. But I've never been let go of a job in my life. And, we were making money, and the bank was unlike most other banks and most other firms. Like, there were just holes in balance sheets everywhere. So we had a certain amount of capital that we were using to run our strategy. And they just said, look, sorry, game's over. And they said, we need that capital for elsewhere. And like I said, I'd never been let go of a job in my life. And again, funny now, not funny at the time. They bring me in a room and they tell me what happened, and they tell me how, they're letting the whole group go. And I said, all right, great. And I said, when? And the guy goes, right now. I said, oh, great. That's terrific timing. I'm having my first kid in about 10 days from now.
Oh, God.
And anybody who has a job where they can press buttons and trade, that can do damage if they go rogue. I mean, I would never dream of doing this, but it's kind of funny. You go back to your desk, your computer's gone, your keyboard's gone. So anyway, our whole group, we go out to the bar, of course, and commiserate. And I wake up the next day with a really bad hangover. And I end up calling I'm not going to name him, but I called one of the founding members of First New York. I had really good rapport with. I told him what happened, and he says, look, there's an event-driven guy here that wants an analyst, and I'm also going to give you a pad. Come on Monday. I was like, holy shit, that's great. So I'm out of a job for, I didn't know how long, and then I'm really out of a job for 48 hours, right? Mm-hmm. So now I'm in this, now I'm like a trader, right? So I'm still doing the analyst work, but now I get a pad at First New York.
So what does that mean? What does that mean? You get a pad?
They basically give you capital to trade.
Uh-huh.
That's what that means. So again, I get invited back, and I have this pseudo role where I'm an analyst, but I get a pad. It's X $1 million pad, and they say go, because they know I've done well for them, and I had a good track record in my career just doing event driven. So this is like the whole story of my transition from analyst to trader. And I told this story to somebody else the other day. Analysts think they're really smart, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the
Hmm.
analyst is always very aligned with the portfolio manager, of course. They have the same goals. But I didn't realize at the time, even though I had worked hand in hand with all my PMs as an analyst, man, it is a different job. It's a completely different job because you're an idea guy as an analyst, but the trader or the PM has to think about all these other things that an analyst really doesn't have to think about. Position size, the setup. And we can get into what the setup means, in a little bit. I think it's pretty interesting. I think it's actually a very interesting, important part of, probably the most important part of trading. And so now I'm sitting in the seat and I'm thinking I'm really smart and there's nothing to do because it's 08. So there's no corporate actions, right? There's no mergers. There's very few. I could probably count on one hand the amount of corporate action or event-driven situations that are out there, but because there's so few, they're crowded and they're difficult to make money.
So you weren't tempted to try to trade other strategies while you're waiting, either for the firm or maybe did you have your own personal account that you were trading?
I can't even remember. I probably had a PA at the time, but to your point, that's exactly what I did. I said to myself, all right, I'm a month into this thing. I'm starting to look over my shoulder now, right? Because I'm not making any money. I'm not losing money, but I'm just like up one unit, down one unit, up one unit, down one unit. I was working on a couple things, sort of like side gigs, side projects, like momentum trading and some fundamental stuff. So to your point, you're right. And so now I've got like 3 or 4 different strategies I'm running across the pad that I was given. But same thing, up one, down one, up one, down one with every single strategy. I'm still doing the analyst thing. And this was like the pivotal moment that kind of set me on the stage for probably the next 15 years up until today. I'm sitting at the desk. I don't remember the ticker, but the Wall Street Journal broke a story about XYZ being in talks to be bought. Boom, boom, boom. I type the ticker in and boom, boom, boom. I hit the hotkey. And whether it's in trading or anything else in your life, sometimes you react really quick. And then 1 second later, you go, oh shit, like, what did I just do? So I get out of the trade as fast as I get into it. And I look up at my P&L and I go, oh my God, like I made more money than I made as an analyst at the Canadian bank in about like 20 seconds.
Wow. What prompted you to both get in and get out so quickly? What were you looking for?
You know what? I understand now why I got in and out of it. At the time, I don't know. I think I probably just blacked out. I obviously I knew the stock was going to go up, right? XYZ in talks to be bought, and I just reacted. So that happens, and I'm like, I get a little bit of breathing room now, right? I'm like, all right, I don't have to look over my shoulder. I go back to the 3 or 4 strategies I'm running. Again, up one, down one, up one, down one, and then like I don't know, maybe a week or 2 later, same thing. Now I'm kind of prepared for it. I'm sitting in front of the screen and I'm kind of waiting like a sniper, waiting for something to come. Meanwhile, I'm working on all my other stuff. And then same thing, boom, 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 in and out. And again, I don't remember what that ticker was either, but strangely, the P&L was the same. I'll never forget the P&L was the same. And right there, I said, I'm just going to do this. What am I wasting my time doing all this other stuff for? And that kind of set the stage for what I do now. I mean, I don't trade that exact way now because a lot has changed. Technology's changed. These guys have black box API, co-locate front running stuff on all these, headlines that come across the tape. Now,
so you're saying the market was less efficient back then.
It was much less efficient. Now I've always been very, very diligent about case studying every trade that I do, especially when it comes to news. I categorize things, size, time of day, thoughts at that moment. Was it a fast trade? Was it an idea trade? But back then, again, this is late 2000s. There were no black box machines on the headlines. Now I wouldn't even try now because you just get whipped. But you had because they weren't black boxed like they are now.
Mhm.
And that lasted a while. And again, there's a lot of nuance to what I do now, and we can get into all that with merger arb and event driven still. But generally, that's kind of the same thing that I'm doing now, except I'm not trading like those headlines. Just to wrap up the history here. So I do that at First New York. I spin out into like a First New York related family office. I do that for a couple of years. And then I realized, I don't need 25 or $50 to do what I do because I'm in and out of stuff so fast. I don't need a huge portfolio. In fact, I typically don't even run positions overnight. And again, we can talk about why I'm not really a believer in doing that, or anyway, it's not my style. And then about 10 years ago, I just decided to go out on my own and keep it all, so to speak.
So when you say you're going on your own and keep it all, meaning you're trading just your own account, or what does that mean?
Exactly. Yeah. So, when you get hired away at a prop trading firm, they give you the capital and then you have some sort of a payout. Again, I think some of these guys, they either don't want to run their own money because they don't have the confidence to do it, or somebody's just not worth 50 million or $100 million and they want to take firm's capital. And then the trade-off to that is you have to give the firm X% P&L. But for what I do, I can run my business on just a couple of bucks. Like I don't need that big capital that I would need to go to like a First New York or whatever, because I'm in and out fast.
Chat with Traders is brought to you by Tasty Trade. Tired of trading on rookie apps? Then get the platform for serious trading. Tasty Trade. Tasty Trade gives you the tools to trade your way. Chart your heart out with over 300 indicators. Know your odds with probability of profit. And move fast with Quick Roll. Trade what you want and trade it your way. Stocks, options, futures, and more. All in one account on one platform. No wonder why serious traders choose Tasty Trade. Visit tastytrade.com and see for yourself. Tasty Trade Inc. is a registered broker-dealer and member of FINRA, NFA, and SIPC.
Hey, I got a great update from Trade the Pool. Now it's even easier to get funded. As you know, Trade the Pool built a unique program to evaluate stock traders like yourself and provide you with the company's funds to trade with. It's real shares, and you no longer need to worry about the PDT rule. But that's not all. Trade the Pool has introduced a new tier with $20,000 in buying power, making it easier to pass the evaluation and speeding up the process of getting funded.
For me,